AI today is in the state of tools. We need to evolve AI to the state of workflows. A lot of the day to day processes are running on the browser. One of the products that we spend hours and hours daily has essentially remained the same. And the dream is the AI should already know what I want and should give it to you without even me asking for it. That's going to feel like magic. Oh, wow, like it truly understands me. Back in the early days when Google was taking off, everybody wanted to fund Google for X, and all of those companies failed. Either Google bought them or Google destroyed them. Microsoft owns 50% of OpenAI. It's not even like an independent company. Who else is there? Like, it's just the big tech all the time. Somebody has to change that story and build a company. We have to win. And it's on me to make it happen.
Your biggest fear when launching Perplexity?
My biggest fear was
Aravind, thank you so much for this. We're really excited to have you here. Let's start off with the big news, the new Comet Browser that's coming out of Perplexity. Can you tell us a little bit about what it does and what's new here compared to other browsers?
Yeah, I think ever since Chrome came out, probably around 2008, it's definitely gotten more performant, faster, like efficient with your memory, and obviously, like people complain still about the amount of RAM it consumes, but fundamentally, there was no innovation other than having every tab being its own process. And so the browser, one of the products that we spend hours and hours daily, has essentially remained the same in terms of how we use it. We're still like going and parsing each site and clicking on links and like taking stuff from one site, pasting it on another, manually uploading stuff, like spending hours and hours of doing simple data cleaning, transformations, sending emails, responding to emails, approving like invites to a party manually, scanning through applications. It's a lot of work that people do and spend time on, and that's not like fundamentally changed despite AI being there. People still go to all these different AI tools and copy paste stuff and do it in the same own traditional way. So basically, AI today is in the state of tools. We need to evolve AI to the state of workflows and process automation, right? And I think a lot of the day to day processes are running on the browser. And so, how would it look like if the browser was reimagined rather than yet another browser as a cognitive operating system, as a Swiss Army knife for all of your thought and work? You have it on the search box, the Omni box, which is the holy grail of the browser, where most of your entry points are. You have it on the side as an assistant. So every time you're on a web page, you don't have to browse alone. You can take the help of this assistant along with you. And it contextually parses the screen and helps you fill up stuff or like answer your questions. And then you have it on your new tab page. You can invoke it and command new tasks and fire up like a bunch of tasks like, hey, go and recruit me, like the engineers working at this company who had like 5 years of experience. I studied at Stanford University, put them into a sheet, email it to Hassan. All these kind of things it can do autonomously. And even if it fails, it's going to help you intervene and do it on your own way because it's all happening in the browser environment. So that is what we're trying to build with Comet. We think about it as browse at the speed of thought. We think about it as a new operating system for all of your work and life. And we think it'll be the first time AI feels deeply embedded in our day to day lives.
Awesome. We recently had a conversation with Amjad Masad from Replit less than a week ago, and he said that one of the things that he's really excited about is browser use and browser use technologies. You've obviously been, yeah, very close to basically everything that's happening in this space. Do you feel like we're maybe close to those technologies maturing, and could those be coming to a browser anytime soon?
Yeah, 100%. That's going to happen. And that's kind of why we decided the browser is important to build because um, even if like the AGI quality models arrive, you need a way to interact with them where all your context exists and can be pulled on demand and control on your behalf can happen and the work gets registered, the activity gets registered and stored on the servers. But the intelligence can live on the server side, and then all your data can continue to exist on your client side. You need that sort of a mechanism to actually take advantage of the AIs to help automate a lot of your work and life processes that are boring and mundane. And the browser gives an incredible front end for that, front end and back end, right? It's hard. I might even go far as to say it's hard to build true agents without a browser. You have to build it in some form or the other, either headless or the stateful version with with the front end. And I think there are a lot of advantages you have in not doing it in a headless way. For example, you have like user sessions that are already there, people have already logged in. It all goes to the security of browsers that have been well understood, and it's all open source. At the same time, the AI parses whatever is there on your screen. It can help you along the way. It can just like do stuff on a website, only specific parts that you want it to do, and rest of the stuff you can take over from it. So that's sort of like human computer interaction symbiosis is like much better when done with the browser. And it's also a tool that we don't have to learn how to use. We're already familiar with it. Just like how all the AI chat apps kind of look like search engines now, the front end, which we were the first to do, by the way. I think like there's some familiarity with like using a search engine for like 2 decades, right? Like for most people in their 20s, you grow up using something like Google. Similarly, the browser is like the first thing you use when you use the internet. It's a tool that you use since your childhood, ever since you've used the internet. So you don't have to learn how to use a new AI browser. It retains all the front end you have, and yet it feels different because it can actually be intelligent and it can help you browse way more efficiently.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think you're right about almost every task that you do on the internet starts with the browser. I mean, I'm trying to think of how many apps do I use outside of the browser every day.
Yeah.
Can't really think of much, to be honest. Maybe Slack, but even Slack's within the browser. So almost everything that I do happens within the browser. And I think most people
Yeah.
listening to this would have the same feeling around this.
Yeah, that's the advantage. Like if you want to just the AI to send Slack messages on your behalf, it can do it,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't have to like require you to set up local MCP clients and a remote MCP server for your AI, you know, and access your apps on the desktop. You don't need all that. Like it can just open Slack as a tab and like take over from you as long as you're logged in and read all your unread messages and give you a summary, and then you instruct it to reply to certain people in a certain way, or like simply just marking you offline. Let's say you're sick and you just open your phone and like say, hey, like can you mark me as offline today, saying I'm out of office and I'm sick. You don't want to go to Slack and do it all manually, like figuring out like how to do that.
Yeah.
The browser agent can do it for you. Like I'm talking about the simplest kind of things like that to more complicated things like, okay, like somebody online posted a bug or somebody sent a message to you saying, hey, part of your product is buggy in your PM, and like you just want to triage it to the right person and send them a Slack message with a linear ticket. The agent can do all this for you. You don't have to go to your computer. Most of the time, you're like, okay, fine, I'm AFK, but I'm gonna when I get back to my keyboard, I'm gonna like do it on my browser myself. Imagine if the browser's on your phone, um, and then you can just invoke it with your voice assistant. All that can be like a lot easier. So the true promise of AI as a real personal and executive assistant for all of us can only be realized with the browser.
So, Arvind, this is really interesting, right? So, I think like so like the way you kind of think about like the personal universal assistant is kind of browser is kind of that interface for the
Correct.
users, and then all like voice, media, text, that could be a medium to interact with the browser to some extent.
That's right. And the form factor can be voice ideally, right? Look, I mean, I you cannot if you really want to feel like you have an assistant, you should be able to text them, or you should just be able to call them or leave some voice messages, and like feel. I almost like. Have you seen this meme of this guy from Succession? Um, the first son, like he's wearing coolers, he's having like AirPods on, he's just giving
Yeah.
commands, and like there's a meme of how like that's how life feels when you have a lot of money or whatever, and like how does life feel when you can just say, please get it done today, and you're on some helicopter or ship and like you're just talking on AirPods. I think that's luxury, right? Like no, it's pretty hard to do that. Maybe Elon Musk can do that, but normal people cannot. But I think that's going to be possible if you have a mobile browser. You can call it on voice mode, and you just ask it to do stuff for you. um that's how it's gonna feel. And if it works reliably, and that's a challenge. To work reliably, you need two components here. One is the model, like the reasoning models need to be pretty reliable, and then the orchestration. Okay, if with the models are just like engines. How do you take that, orchestrate it with all the context you have and the tools that you have at your disposal, and take over from you and act on your behalf, and like um come back to you with clarifying questions if it needs support, and execute on it on your behalf. That second part, actually, in my opinion, is way harder. And but if you nail it and make it cross-platform, um, it's going to be magical. You're gonna start thinking of AIs way beyond chat apps. Like chat is just interactions, but the browser is literally workflows. And AI will only be able to move the GDP if it can actually start doing some of our work. And I think the browser is not even a sufficient criterion for that. I feel like it's a necessary criterion.
Yeah, yeah. One quick question from mine, Hassan, then over to you. Memory's been a very hot topic in AI this year. We hear
Hmm.
a lot of different theories as to how this problem can get solved. Some folks say, maybe it gets solved in the app layer, so maybe something like Perplexity or Gemini or ChatGPT or something, your
Yeah.
most used assistant or something. We hear people who talk about maybe on the OS level, so on Mac OS or iOS or something, maybe that's the level it's getting stored at.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe browser is the answer to the place where all of your memory gets stored?
I think so. It's the most powerful one. There's only one thing that's more powerful than that. It's like probably iOS or Android, because there's activity on mobile apps that you don't get on your browser.
Yeah.
And so that like that's probably the most powerful one. But I think most of the things you do on your desktop, on your phone, the browser has access to, and it's way more broad than interactions on the chat app, like you telling you want this, or like you feel this way today, or like help me write an essay. Yeah, you can profile you to some extent. Okay, you're a person, you typically work in this sector, this is approximately your age, and this is what you are, these are your interests. I think you kind of get a rough sense of you as a person. But what do you like really want to do? How do you actually do your work? What do you really like purchasing? Not meant in a way to go and put ads at you or something, but truly like take over from your workflows and automate a lot of the things for you. And also like understand, proactively give stuff to you, right? Like let's say you go to a website, I kind of already know what you might likely be interested in. Why do you need to consume the whole web page? You can just read it the way you want. It can be tailored to you, right? I can remove a lot of like maybe when you go to a shopping site, I can remove a lot of the spam for you. In fact, you do the opposite of like ads. You remove junk, like remove all the junk away from the sites and render the page the way you want to see it. Highlight the things that are most relevant for you based on what I truly understand about you, and help you get the work done faster.
Yeah.
So kind of create the productivity economy at a user level, where people really feel like, oh wow, like I'm so glad to be using this product. It's really making my life feel better. It doesn't feel like doom scrolling. It doesn't feel like I'm like being sold ads. It really feels like it understands me. It wants to make my life better and easier. Not that feeling, no AI gives to anyone today, and it's mainly because the AI is not proactive. And what is the one criterion for making the AI proactive? Memory. And that's why, like, I think memory plays a big role. It's the only way to crack proactive intelligence.
And seems like browser is a great way, right? Because so many users use a browser, so if you can kind of like penetrate and own the browser layer, then it's
Correct. and
much.
and it's very easy to be ambient
Yeah.
and be there for you when you want it, wherever you are, and kind of like give it to you without you even asking for it. Like there's a old video of Larry Page where he says this, right? Like the ultimate vision of Google is artificial intelligence, where he says the AI should already know what I want and should give it to you without even me asking for it. Like I mean, the dream is you click on the new tab, and then the new tab already knows what you want. Like it has your suggested next task or prompt or workflow or question already there and generated. then that's going to feel like magic. Oh wow, like it truly understands me. And it works differently for different people. It works differently for me, it works differently for you, and it's truly understood you. um and that way, like, the concept of tabs can even go away. Like, why even have tabs? Like, I can always be on the new one singular interface, and it kind of knows what I want. If it doesn't, then I can tell it, and then it does the work for me, and I'm done. Like, I can just shut down the computer and go away, or I can just use it on my phone. I don't even need to use it on my laptop. So that's sort of like where we want to get to. I think magic needs to be felt, right? That's the hard part. These models are all intelligent in their own unique ways. It's not human like intelligence, but it's definitely intelligence. But packaging that intelligence into, like, engineering the context around the user, their workflows, their tools, and being helpful to them in a way that feels uh, blissful is hard. And but if you can nail that, at least on a certain use case, like, bunch of use cases, it's a great starting point for building what could feel like the next iPhone or something.
No, I like that. That's an awesome idea, right? Like the tabs not existing because, like, yeah, if the agent truly can orchestrate and then
Yeah,
execute, then you don't really need any more tab interface. Could be a complete different. It's a more task oriented interface, which is like
exactly.
assuming what needs to be done now, what's prioritized, and you can go through that workflow. No, like I think that'll be an amazing UI UX if you can engineer it on the back end and then build the right user flow and experience for the user.
Yeah.
So Arvind, like obviously Perplexity has been at the forefront of this generative AI wave we have seen over the past few years, right? Like you've built a massive business. What inspired you to focus on search and create Perplexity in the first place?
I mean, it's one of those problems where you can keep working on it forever until it's truly solved. And you want to, like, start companies that have very high ceiling, probably unlimited ceiling. If you start like AI for legal or something, right? And you want to sell to like top 10 or 20 legal firms, and you want to like automate the paralegal there, or like be a co-pilot to them, there's obviously a certain limit to how much value you can create. And you probably want to you'd have to follow the Amazon style of expanding across, verticals. But then you would realize, like, it's not a horizontal thing you build for this. It's very verticalized, like unlike Amazon, which actually built supply chains and delivery. Um, so I think you generally want to target very large dams, incredibly high ceilings, and something that's on the critical path to AGI, where um, more progress in AGI doesn't make your product useless. It actually makes your product better. Like that's something that's consistently been true for Perplexity. Is a better model has never made our product feel more useless. It's actually made us ship new amazing things into it, like deep research, or like the labs feature we shipped, which can go and not like to consume answers beyond a wall of text, literally making interactive charts, dashboards, like flow charts, multimodal answers. Now, like browser, like going and completing tasks on the web, not just giving you answers, but like doing things. The only reason we're able to do all these things is because we start working on like a very hard horizontal problem that's infinitely scalable. And otherwise, there's no point waking up every day and working hard on a company when you know that you're working for just money at the end, because if the TAM is like limited, you're just working for money. You're not really working for any purpose. You're not working for like something that feels bigger than yourself, larger than life project. So that's one of the reasons I pick search. It's AI complete. Better AI will make the product better, and more data collected through the product will make the AI better. And it becomes a data flywheel and a self-fulfilling prophecy. It'll scale by itself.
And obviously the TAM is massive, right? Like if you're able to build the search and like really improve that experience because everyone is kind of trying to do that in one way or another. So what was kind of the first moment as you kind of started this problem you're trying to solve it, you realize that Perplexity is on to something, you've figured out the product?
We kind of wanted to experiment with like how LLMs can uh, revolutionize search, but we built a lot of narrow things like searching over Twitter, searching over GitHub, LinkedIn. And we had a lot of fun doing that because no one else had imagined how to combine like retrieval and summarization in the sort of manner where the LLM is writing code, running SQL, and like summarizing the content it retrieves, and it's conversational. You can reference past questions, you can dig deeper. It was very magical when we created that experience. It felt like you could talk to any database, you could talk to any website in the world. Um, and so, I mean, all these concepts have like names now, like RAG and like tool use and all these things. But at the time when we were doing it, it was all like completely new. And so we had this idea: why are we doing this website by website? Why not we just make it more general thing? Because in general, the bitter lesson states like the more scalable your approach is, the more like long term it is. So we just said, okay, like you got to use the web as a tool and like retrieve links and pick the top few ones and summarize them and reference the right ones, which comes from a background as an academic that AIs need to be accurate. It cannot just say whatever it wants. It has to be grounded in some form of truth. And the web is a big source of knowledge and truth. Of course, not everything on the web is not real, but at least it's guided by humans who are constantly truth and knowledge seeking. And as a society, we kind of converge towards like things that are widely accepted as truth and has scientific backing, right? And so, kind of building that factful knowledge seeking AI was like pretty much like a big important thing to do, and so that's why we built it. And in the beginning, a lot of people were skeptical. Like they even told me like AI's whole point is it hallucinates. It's fun when it watches AI hallucinate and make up things because that's what people like. That's what goes viral on Twitter. You screenshot an AI making mistakes. People laugh at it and share it. How else are you going to grow? You're not going to create growth loops by being correct. You're going to create growth loops by being incorrect in funny ways. So your product is designed to be correct all the time, and hallucination will actually cost you because people will not trust your search engine and they'll go back to Google. So you either want to be in the Google mode where it's only facts and links, or you want to be in the Chat GPT mode where it's only like hallucinations or like model making up stuff and being chatty and interesting. You're somewhere in the middle that nobody wants. That was the skepticism among like my early friends and investors. But I believe that like eventually AI will be so useful that using the web will be paramount to its utility. And so ability to do it well, ability to orchestrate the web and the core reasoning and summarization skills and conversation skills will be extremely valuable. And so even if it's short term bad, long term it's going to be very valuable. And so that's why we built Perplexity.
No, I think like retrieval and search and like then being able to synthesize and summarize the information is such a hard problem by itself. It's amazing how Perplexity is able to achieve what it's done over the last few years. So curious to know, right? Like when you talked briefly about your investors and how people were even a bit skeptic about what you were doing. What was it like raising money and dealing with investors as you went through this process? You're going against like a massive company. Google has like 98% plus market share in search. And what are investors saying to you? Hey, how are you going to be successful?
I mean, a lot of investors, without revealing the names, they were always pushing me to be verticalized, right? Like go attack a vertical. It's less risky. Um, you can like kind of like just take a small market, be a leader in it, and you can survive. Like Google's not going to try to build like a great AI for a legal app or like or like it's not that big a market for them. Like you could make $1 billion in revenue there and build like a 10 to $50 billion company, and like nobody cares. Like it's irrelevant to Google's market cap. Um, but like I said, like it's my dream is to work on hard problems and work with really good engineers, and it's hard to attract the best ones if you work on narrow, boring problems. Um, doesn't mean the problems these companies solve are like any lower level. They're definitely creating value, but it doesn't necessarily attract the topmost engineers because they saw something beyond money. It's like true intellectual fulfillment, and so that I knew from the beginning. I'd listened to a lot of Larry Page lectures of how he says it's easier to work on harder problems as an early stage company, because that's the only way you attract talented people. So I always never wanted to lose that. But definitely investors push me. Oh, like look at Amazon, like look at Yelp, look at Pinterest, look at like all these other verticals like that emerged in the early days of the internet. You also got to go vertical. You also have to pick like visual or like local or like health or like even pharmaceuticals like GoodRx, these kind of websites, things that let you get tablets or whatever. It's like, dude, like why would I? Why do you even need LLMs for this? These are already solved problems, and they're making a few hundreds of millions in revenue. Like, there's no point to going and attacking these markets. These are tiny. Or like, and at the same time, if you think a little bit deeper, um, verticals are like actually not built around the search. They're built around other things. Like Pinterest is valuable because it lets you pin things. It lets you, follow what other people are posting. It's a social experience. And then you can take that and put it on your boards, and it becomes your collection almost. And it lets you curate stuff, share it with people, plan like interior decors, weddings, new homes, all that stuff. It gives you ideas. It's a visual exploration platform, not less of a search platform. You're not actually you might type like decors, but after that, it's less of search. It's more interactive clicking experience. Similarly, Yelp is largely useful because you are seeing other humans what they're posting. Local businesses, you're getting their hours of operation. It's a lot of work of convincing these people to like we get these businesses and like restaurants to put their data on you and keep it up to date. That is the business. It's less about the local search. So then when you understand these things, you realize like these VCs have all got it wrong. Like they don't think deeply. Um, the one person actually who told me to remain horizontal, even if it means we lose, was Mark Andreessen. Because I had a very early call with him, and he, after like we launched, he used the product and he heard about it, and he's like, "How much should it cost you to make it?" And I said, "Okay, $50,000. That's it." We had raised 2.5 million, but we only spent $50,000 to make it. He was like shocked. He because at that moment in time, a lot of people were raising capital for building AI models, and they were all asking these VCs like hundreds of millions of dollars. Now that looks like a joke, like when people are raising 10 billion, but that was the moment we were in 2022. So when we said, "Hey, we only spend 50K and we only use existing APIs and build this experience," that was a shock to Mark. And so I asked for advice, and he said, "Look, search is all about distribution, but I'll tell you something. Like, don't fear that, and go and build like a vertical company, because back in the early days when Google was taking off, everybody wanted to fund Google for X, and all of those companies failed. Either Google bought them, which is like a bunch of travel search engines, or Google destroyed them, but like Google Finance, Google Sports, Google Weather, like Google, all these like verticals that they did, they can completely destroy the Google Maps. So try to be horizontal. That's where the value comes from. Like eventually, all the queries will flow through you, and all the value will be created through you, and economies of scale will play out. So that I even though I wasn't sure, having like an internet OG give you that advice was very helpful to me.
No,
Yeah.
I love like like your kind of breakdown of the horizontal and the vertical play, and also I think like it's all also contrarian, right? When you were starting out in 2022, a lot of people were thinking about the verticalized play because that was to some extent being successful, and there were like few successes already, and typically like it's hard to go against the mainstream at that point. And glad you got that advice. You ended up building Perplexity. Clearly, you have been successful taking that and building some really amazing search products, and like the new browser which is coming up as well. Zen, over to you.
Aravind, Perplexity was one of the first big aha moments that a lot of people had with AI. I don't think controversial to say that. I see lots of other big products are doing that with Perplexity now as well. The other big thing to come aside from the browser out of Perplexity now has been Perplexity Labs. I see you tweet a lot about it. I see a lot of other users as it pops up on my timeline and seeing stuff that they're doing with it, like automating spreadsheets and creating dashboards and doing those other things. For folks who might not have used or heard of Perplexity Labs, can you tell us a little bit about what it is?
Yeah, so Perplexity Labs is basically this mode of usage on Perplexity, the search bar. We have three modes: the regular search, which gives you quick, fast answers; the deep research mode, which gives you a little slower, like 3 to 4 minutes worth of research, but pretty much like a research report. And then there's Labs, which takes you 10 to 15 minutes. Well, what Labs can do that the other two modes cannot is like literally build you websites, dashboards, analytical charts, diagrams, study guides, slide decks, presentations. Using the information from the web, doing a lot of like thorough research on it, write code, uh, and give you all the assets it used to generate these files, including the HTML assets, the JavaScript files that you can take and like export it locally and build all these things yourself too. Um, so that's been incredible. Like I feel like essentially the value of AI is all about how many hours worth of work AI can do without bugs. And I feel it's truly getting to a point where um, AI can do 1 or 2 hours worth of work in a mode like Labs, and it feels more agentic than anything else out there. And honestly, we haven't released Comet yet, but Comet's going to feel another level on top of this because it can literally use the browser and like actually take actions on your behalf on different sites and string together these things. So what we're excited about is like get your personal context through the browser and build your own internal dashboards for your work and life and optimize yourself and your time, and like set up whatever alerts and updates you want, set up tasks. Like you'll have a task manager that's a bunch of processes, AI processes running for you full time, and this is all running in parallel asynchronously. That is incredible, right? Like that feels like a entire operating system. So that's what we are like pushing to create.
Yeah, yeah. Just a follow-up question on that as well. I've seen you tweet or post about Bloomberg as well and how you want to take on Bloomberg and build an alternative there. I've seen a couple of people
Yeah.
on your team talk about that as well. I'm not, I don't work in finance. I'm not a Bloomberg terminal user. Can you maybe tell me a little bit about what the opportunity and what the problem there is as well?
Yeah. So the opportunity is clear, right? Like fundamentally, a tool like Perplexity is all about helping you make decisions. Um, and decisions be worth trillions of dollars are being made a day, 20 to 100 trillion. It's hard to pinpoint an exact number. And most of that money is in financial exchanges, like, moving money between countries, moving money across like currencies, and then like, market movements, bonds, all these different things. And these are decisions worth several trillions. And if AI can be helpful to you in making these decisions by answering your questions, doing your research, going and like actually doing hours worth of work that an analyst would do, if it can definitely give you back that value in terms of time saved and even better decisions made. So the if AI helps you make a trillion more a day and gets 1% of the value back, that's a lot, right? That's like 10 billion a day, right? And I don't think we talk about Google is making 10 billion a day. It makes 200 billion a year. That's not even like 1 billion a day. But if AI native search, research, labs with all the context in the world and all the tabs in the browser, if that works reliably, then I feel AI will lead all financial research. And currently, the go-to financial research tool is Bloomberg Terminal. Like the way people use it is still in the MS-DOS era. Like they're just using the legacy interface. They're like reading what other analysts write about different stocks and the predictions for the forward, you know, price per earnings ratios, and then making their estimates based on that, and like talking to the analysts there. There are some advantages in doing that. It's a regulated platform, and so it's easy to reach out to them. But imagine if an AI can do a better analysis than any human analyst can do. Then what is the value of the terminal? Like nothing, basically nothing, right? And you can get all that information, much better UI, UX for free, and you don't have to pay like $20,000 a year for it. Um, you can commoditize the alpha, and then the alpha goes to the person who is willing to spend more compute, asking the better question on a mode like Labs or something. So our hope is like we can let a lot more people make better financial decisions, understand the markets. Like markets are some of the hardest things to understand. You go and watch CNBC or like Like you read Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, you pay all these subscriptions, and you have like completely at the end of the day, you're way more confused than you are. Like there's no alpha, you're just more confused. And so that's what we want to like change through a tool like Perplexity.
So one question I was very excited to ask you is that, as like these LLMs kind of grow and search kind of like goes through these products, like Perplexity being one of them, there's a lot of reduced traffic to some extent for web pages. What are your thoughts on that? I know you've launched a publisher program as well, so just curious to get your perspective overall.
I mean, that's precisely what we want to do. We kind of want to just support the publishers through the publisher program, and we recognize the value they bring to the ecosystem and like reporting new news. And honestly, the AI is a lot more interesting if they can stay up to date with real knowledge, real time knowledge. And I think that can only happen with the if the publishers are economically incentivized, right? And so we want to give back some of our revenue to them. That's the part. That's basically the program. And I think this is the new world. Like everybody said, Google is the good guy, and they kind of don't want to like divert traffic away or something. But then they also shipped AI overview and AI mode, um, because that's kind of what users are asking for. Except Google doesn't want to share any revenues with publishers, whereas Perplexity is open to that. So I hope as we grow, the publishers can also grow and they can get in early in the tool, the next big tool, compared to working with an existing tool that already has all the distribution. It's kind of like bullying them into like doing whatever they want, right?
Yeah, so I'm just curious to know, like, how do you see AI changing the way we find and consume information, especially in the professional space, but also like for consumers in 2 3 years?
I feel like the browser is going to be one big area that people are going to spend like a lot more AI usage on. I mean, they're already doing that. You're using it using ChatGPT or Perplexity as different tabs, but I think more natively using it on your search bar, using it on your sidecar, using it on any website you're on. I think that sort of like workflows and integrations are going to be happening. Agents is obviously like a big, uh, f- mechanism with which people will use AIs, like sending emails more straightforward. Like you just got an email and you can just say, hey, like respond, um or you learn something new on some other website and you can just say, hey, okay, can you just send it over as an email to these guys and ask them to follow up on this topic, and keep me updated on their new responses. Those kind of like small simple workflows are going to start this year, and like early next year will be like a lot more people adopting these. But I'm more excited about like people just allocating tasks, like, hey, like go do your research on like this company and tell me who I can hire from there, or like who are the first 5 engineers who joined SpaceX, what was their background. Fun questions, like, let's say you want to become the next Elon Musk, like you want to ask all the questions, like, hey, like what did the first where did he hire the first 10 engineers of SpaceX from. It's pretty hard for any AI chat app to do that because there's no one documented resource on the web that already has this information. Maybe it has first two or three, but not 10 or like 20, right? Or 100, let's say 100. And you want to like pull out a distribution of that and you want to like analyze those charts. And then, okay, then you decided after that, okay, go reach out to the kind of people from this school. I want to hire them and tell me if it's a good idea or not. Like that sort of workflow integration is not possible today, and I think with the browser, all this is going to happen. And then a lot of personal health optimizations, like like trying to like, hey, like stop, tell me where did I waste time in the last like 1 month. And it has access to your history, and it'll tell you exactly how many minutes you spent on each site. Okay, can you like make sure I get a reminder every time I spend more than like 15 minutes here. You can do some of these things with screen time and all these things, but like pure natural language powered stuff, or like just
Fully
asking the AI
integrated
to yeah,
experience.
fully integrated
Yeah.
experience where you feel like the AI is your assistant, that is lacking. And that's what I want people to feel on both consumer and like work. Sending Slack messages, summarizing, I have like like hundreds of Slack channels I'm part of, and it's pretty difficult to keep track of things, reminding you when things are like slipping through the cracks, not having to read all your emails. basic stuff that hasn't happened, and just we just need to do the boring
Yeah,
work
like
and make it happen.
make it happen. So maybe like one or two tips of how you use Perplexity, which like you would like to share with our
Yeah.
viewers and readers. Like I'll love that. Any great tips you have?
Well, I use a lot of finance. I have some, there's this thing in Perplexity called tasks that you can just periodically run for yourself. And so I have a task that tells me the max 7 stocks movement every day, uh, once at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, the opening prices. And I have a task that tells me all, to push me a summary of all the news related to like a few companies I'm tracking. And then I have a task for telling me like anytime there's a new research paper written on one topic that I'm interested in. I use it for a lot of dumb questions like today, I think Nikita Beer was hired as product head of X. I was just asking who are the previous heads. I was asking what percent of Oracle does Larry Ellison own. I was asking like was Mark Benioff ever an engineer? Or like, can you show me the first few icons of the Netscape browser? Or like, can you give me a summary of the recent announcement on Meta Superintelligence Labs? I was asking some questions about myself, like what are some unexpected things that you know about me? I asked why is the Palantir stock always trading at really high P- price per earnings multiple? How much traffic does DuckDuckGo get a day?
So like
How's the weather?
so unique, very specific, unique questions, and like you
Yeah,
can.
like these. By the way, these are all like my questions today. And I just read it out from my library. I'm not even making up these things.
Yeah,
How many years did it take for the iPhone from conception to reality? Like, how many people worked on it? Like, who are the key people? Like, sometimes I'm just curious how historic projects came to happen, and I don't have time to go read books or listen to podcasts, so I just go and ask Perplexity. Sometimes I want to learn more about like a new research direction. I go and ask Perplexity to explain it to me because reading an entire archive paper takes me tremendous amount of time, and I just don't have it anymore. And I automate a lot of these things sometimes and through the tasks and to the browser. Today, I asked it to pull up an old tweet that I couldn't find easily, and it did that because it can go and browse websites and search like a human can. So it's incredible. Like I cannot like basically live without it, and a lot of the adopters of Perplexity would probably say the same. And so we have one of the products that has the highest density of usage among the users. Like we don't have 100 million users. We have like a few tens of millions, but whoever uses it a lot. And that's the
nice.
power that we have. That that's one sign that lets you believe that eventually you'll figure out growth in distribution at scale. But you're not having a fake product that doesn't have any usage. Like some of the big tech companies are trying to compete with us on distribution, right? And they have like bigger surface areas for entry points. I'm not talking about ChatGPT. They have real like genuine usage, but some of the other apps don't really have any retention. You can actually extract their retention stats from Sensor Tower and all that. The retention stats are really poor. So what they can do is drive a lot of installs using their other apps, but what they cannot do is like truly retain the user because user doesn't even know what to use the app for. We don't have the problem. User clearly understands Perplexity is a different tool. It's meant for research and knowledge and information.
Nice. That's amazing. I think like having users who are coming back, especially in this AI wave, and continuing to use the product is an amazing achievement. Uh, do you use any other product or any other, gadget outside of Perplexity, which is leveraging AI in your work or personal life, which you found, which you would like to share?
I test all the apps, AI apps. Like it's important for me as a person, like in charge of this company, to understand where our rivals are. So I use ChatGPT, I use Gemini, I use Claude, I use Grok. I test all these things, and then particularly among the rivals, I use ChatGPT the most because I'm impressed by a lot of the things they do. That I would say they're the true rival to us in terms of product innovation. And they've definitely implemented deep research in some aspects better than us, some aspects worse. It takes a lot more time to get the answer there, but some of the UX elements they've done are like slightly better, and sometimes the depth in the answers are better. Uh, Often I'm not looking for that depth, and so it's interesting to see how can you figure out the autonomy slider so that like you kind of understand what the user wants and don't go overly deep when they don't want it. So I often try to like learn and understand interaction patterns from other apps and try to see what I can take from there. And I also see what they took from us, and how we built the agent UX and multi-step reasoning UX, and like the citations, the way we do that. Like a lot of the things are now part of every app, so it's a healthy learning experience for me as a product builder. Other than that, like what else do I use in AI? I use all the Apple devices. I don't really use Siri, but I definitely used it to understand where it fails and kind of like tried to build all the shortcomings into the Perplexity voice assistant, which today on the phone, it doesn't just do answering questions. It can actually send emails and like, play YouTube videos and play songs and play podcasts. It's like very convenient. And so that's one product I mean I will be using. I'm sure Apple will like, release something at some point. So but that's like a device I do test, and I don't believe there are like good AI hardware devices yet. So there's not much to test. I have played with the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. They're okay. I think today I would say they're good AirPods replacement, but not really useful for the AI yet. But I wouldn't say like true replacement. Like if you forget your AirPods, you can use that.
Any builders who are listening, like like there's opportunity in the hardware space, like so you should
It's
get at
hard.
that.
It's definitely hard. I'm not like pushing for anyone like to build that. You're competing for distribution. Distribution of hardware at scale is even harder than software. And then it's Meta can burn billions of dollars. Apple can burn billions of dollars. It's very hard. It's not like a lot of people romanticize the Steve Jobs era. Oh, like I'm gonna find like a Wozniak, or maybe I'm the Wozniak. I'm gonna find the Jobs. I'm gonna build Apple. It's hard. Like I'm not. I would be very impressed if someone wants to go and try that. It's just much harder because Jobs never had like these many rivals who are like like people have learned the lessons of IBM. They're not gonna like repeat it. So that's also Jobs did get killed by IBM for the first time. Like IBM PCs did crush the Mac, and he kind of had to come back and build an entirely new thing, and he crushed the BlackBerry. So uh, there's possibilities. You can build new devices, glasses, for watches, rings, pens. Like who knows? The possibilities are endless.
No,
I
I
hope
think the
someone.
generative AI wave has definitely given us like some really amazing possibilities. We have like few one-liners, Arvind, like love to wrap up around those, which you can give us like a 20-30 second answer
Yeah,
if you want to go into too much detail. Uh, your biggest fear when launching Perplexity.
my biggest fear was no one's going to care. Like it's the fear that everybody has when they're launching a new product is who's going to care, who's going to even come and use it. And I would look like an idiot to have like like stop doing a regular research job and go and do this wrapper product, and nobody even cares about it. And like I raised like a couple of millions of dollars in funding. It'll be an embarrassment to return all that. So that was my fear. Like really, I was like my um hands were like shaking when I was writing down the tweets for the first ever announcement of Perplexity. And I didn't even want to watch the responses, so I just shut it down. And then I was looking at the live query traffic, and that's when the dopamine was like unreal. Because I actually saw like real like query stream refresh. I was refreshing it all the time, and it was amazing. Like the stream of queries. We got only like 4,000 or 5,000 queries a day, but I was like, okay, 4,000 people cared enough to like go and test it, and it kept growing. So that was unreal.
That's amazing. What should young ambitious people spend time learning today?
I would say today is the day for generalists, which means not jack of all trades. That's the wrong assumption, but more like obsession to details, truly figuring out like your own perspective about things. Like have your own unique perspective on how you want to like position yourself and your ideas in this world, which requires you to think hard about like everything and like understand things deeply, um and don't just chase the limelight and like whatever is popular. Obviously, everyone I've with this question, I've also watched interviews when I was young, and most of the people would say whatever I'm saying now, and I would be like, ah, whatever. This person got everything. That's why they're saying this now. But that's honestly the constant that's been true is every time there was something popular and people chased it, but then something else ended up being a lot more useful. Like when I started Perplexity, crypto was way more popular. And like a lot of VCs actually told me to go and do AI for crypto. Like, how can you figure out put LLMs in wallets and like even making sense of the ideas was hard because that was the extent to which they were like combining things that were unrelated. But I knew like fundamentally, search is timeless. Whether crypto or whether it's NFTs or like whether it's movies or entertainment or Netflix, it doesn't matter. Like you always need to search for knowledge.
That's amazing. Your favorite sci-fi book or movie?
I like The Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy, the
Nice.
book. I really like it. I like the movie Interstellar. It's very inspirational. Um, I mean I like many other movies too, but Interstellar is probably the one I would put at the top.
How do you motivate yourself?
I mean, I do a lot of things that every normal person does. I think that I was asked this question, some Y Combinator thing. And I told I watched like YouTube videos of Elon Musk's rocket failures. Like I do all these things, but fundamentally, I have been through very hard times, like personally. So my journey is like already my motivator. Like a lot, like I know I can bounce back from very difficult moments. And my journey from like a very pretty lower middle class or like somewhere between lower and middle class family in India to which is by standards not even like lower middle class in America. From there to getting a degree there and like getting to IITs and getting PhDs here and kind of like getting all these internships at OpenAI, DeepMind, going from there to like starting a company, raising funding, and like constantly competing with OpenAI and Google. That's already like given me a lot of confidence to deal with many hard challenges. I don't need to particularly look for motivation from external. It's mostly like when you're down, what keeps you going is like something you truly believe. Okay, the struggle should be worth it, right? Why should big tech keep winning all the time? Somebody has to change that story and build a company. And most of the times people give up. Like at some point, once you hit like 10 to $20 billion valuations, you start to give up. You feel like, oh, you made a lot of money, at least on paper, just protect it, kind of like de-risk your project a little, and start planning for an IPO, start looking for like other executives to run the company, start delegating more things. Um, and then that's it. Like you'll get crushed. They'll copy the hell out of your features and you won't even have what you have, even though that's what you were optimizing for. So you got to constantly stay on the grind and like believe that this is truly worth it because otherwise like the world will not have an alternative. That I believe in that genuinely. If we don't exist, Microsoft owns 50% of OpenAI. It's not even like independent company. It's a nonprofit. Um, who else is there? Like it's just the big tech all the time, and that's why I think we really are important to like we have to win, and it's on me to make it happen.
No, I think this is a great place to end the podcast. Like, no, thank you so much, Aravind, like for you taking the time, and I think like our viewers will really enjoy this episode when it's done, and we really appreciate that.